All right, so welcome to our second meeting, our second session with Biblical Aramaic. For the Aramaic Neophytes that we are. We're working again through Basics of Biblical Aramaic by Miles Ben Clark. Okay, so we're waiting for one more person to arrive, but we'll go ahead and start up the PowerPoint so that we can start thinking about Aramaic. There is our next person. Hopefully he'll be coming in right now. There it is. Okay, so this is our PowerPoint for our Aramaic Neophytes group. That's what I'm calling this because we're all new to Aramaic. You'll notice that the head of each chapter has a number. And right now we're in chapter 2, and it calls it Tren. Tren is the number 2 in Aramaic. You see it at the top right there by the number 8. So I want to look real quick at the numbers that they've given us so far, because they've given us 3 numbers. Number 1 is chad. It's much like the Hebrew word echad, chad, echad. It's used in modern Hebrew as a prefix like mono or one. So chad ba'ami is from pa'am, an instance, and chad is 1. Chad ba'ami means one-time use or disposable. The number tren actually also comes into Hebrew. It's not similar at all like to the word shnaim or shtaim Hebrew, but it is used in the word tesal. Tesal is like a Mishnaic word that was adopted from Aramaic, from tren and asal, meaning 2 and 10, so it's 12. Tesal is a dozen. So if you buy tesal sufganiot, you buy a dozen donuts. That's very neat. And the third one there is tlat. We saw in the last lesson that shin and tav have this tendency to correspond to one another between Aramaic and Hebrew. So, and also that because of the Canaanite vowel shift, Hebrew's long A became long O. So shalosh, which I missed the A there, the kamatz, shalosh becomes tlat. Tlat is 3. In modern Hebrew, we say tlat memad, 3-dimensional. Like we go to seret tlat memad, a 3-dimensional movie, 3D movie. This is basically what we're covering today, vowels. Kind of feel funny that everybody's muted, so you're not really talking to me. I want you to feed back to me as much as possible. And if you need to stop or you want to throw out a question, please feel free to do so. There are 5 pure vowels, just as there are in Hebrew. These are a, e, I, o, u, like you would say in Spanish, a, e, I, o, u. The distinction between kamatz and patach is unnecessary. The distinction between sere and segol is unnecessary, also in Hebrew. You don't need to say A for tsere and F for segol. They're the same sound. They have been for a while in the Hebrew language. So that's how we're going to pronounce them in Aramaic. So basically, you just have to learn 5 vowel sounds and learn to associate them with the vowels if you don't have them already. If you look at all of the ones that represent the A, the first vowel, all of them have a horizontal like a line. So you can associate that horizontal line. Even if it has another one that makes a T with it, or 2 dots that are on the side, associate that with the vowel ah, because it will stick in your brain that way. The S sound has at least 2 dots horizontal, can have 3 dots, it can have 5. In all cases, this is eh. At the end of a word, it adopts a bit of a flavor, and you can say a at the end of a word. Sometimes when you have an accented syllable, it's okay. E is the 3rd vowel. E is 1 dot. O is a dot on the top left of the consonant. If it's a short vowel, it's exactly written like the kamatz with a long A. So all of these are O. If you know Hebrew, this is a very, very easy thing. If not, there are lots of videos on YouTube and stuff that you can share later on if you have questions. Okay.
Do we have any I sounds like an Adonai with an A-class vowel followed by a Yod in Aramaic?
There are diphthongs as there are in Hebrew. So basically, we're going to, anything that shows up in Aramaic, we're going to read it just like we read it in Hebrew. This is Jewish Aramaic. This isn't like studying the Aramaic of the Assyrian Empire or whatever was happening back then. This is the Jewish way of pronouncing it. So that's what we're going with. The Aramaic that we're going to encounter is going to be in the Bible, which is a Jewish document, and portions from the Siddur, the prayer book. So that's, we're going to read it just like Jews have read it for generations. So the first thing I want to comment here is that vowels can be long, short, or reduced. If you look at the first vowel in each line, these are the long ones. The second one will be short. The E vowel and U vowel, like the letter I and the letter U, don't have short versions. The single dot underneath and the three dots diagonal, these are both long and short. They can be used in either situation. You don't really need to know this stuff because we're not going to go into heavy formation of Aramaic. If we were doing a composition course in Hebrew, then I would explain to you the difference between long and short vowels and when one is appropriate, when is the other one is appropriate. Our job is to read. We're not going to be writing Aramaic. We're going to be reading Aramaic. So as long as you can pronounce it, that's all that really matters. Number 2 says the letters Hey, Vav, and Yod can be used to mark long vowels, exactly like Hebrew. No problem. Reduced vowels, that is the composite shva, can appear on non-guttural letters in Aramaic, whereas in Hebrew they're limited. They're restricted to guttural letters. But I did see, Jonathan, when we were reading last week in Esther, in Ruth, the book of Ruth, we saw that there was a composite shva, the kamats. We saw the composite kamats underneath a kuf. That was interesting. This leads to the difference between kre, that is with the system of ktiv and kre. Kre means read, it's an imperative, and keri means to be read. So some people will read the kuf resh vav or yod, they're going to read it as keri, and others are going to read it as kre, and either one is acceptable. You see the difference? Kre is read, it's telling you read this, and the other one's keri means this is read. It's an adjective, a passive participle. All right, so on shva, the mark shva, which is the 2 dots, represents the lack of a vowel, the same as in Hebrew. Most of the time it isn't pronounced at all. When it is silent, it means that it's closing a syllable. Okay, it's after a short vowel generally. When it's at the beginning of a word, that is if shva is under the first letter, or after a long vowel, that is, it's not closing the syllable, it's supposed to be pronounced with a slight vowel, which we normally just give it an S sound, doesn't matter. Like in the name of Shiva, Shiva, okay? But when the vocal shva is in a consonant cluster that's easily pronounced, it's often just ignored. So we actually read not Shiva, but Shiva, Shiva, because you can do SHV with no problem. Even though it is considered a vocal shva. When you transliterate it, it's going to be with the upside down E. Okay. Any questions? Does this agree with how you read Hebrew, or do you have objections?
Yeah. I think your pronunciation might be slightly different because we're not reading here the Hebrew in like you would modern Hebrew. We're reading it old style, OG.
Yes. Jason knows I disagree with his pronunciation, but that's all right.
I understand that I won't say that I have necessarily an anachronistic view of how to pronounce Hebrew, but I think that the modern pronunciation is sufficient for all cases, and so I don't feel the need to go back from old, to reinvent the wheel, you know. We already speak Hebrew with the accent, so that's what I mean.
I'm used to modern with my professors, so.
Well, yeah, well, they speak partial modern Hebrew, but not all the way across. That's the problem.
What's the system? If we go back and we look at the vowels, Catherine, is there anything here that you would pronounce in a different way? Like I'm not sure what an older.
Oh, yeah. Only where you said that you wouldn't necessarily pronounce the kamats and the patak differently. We probably would.
How would you pronounce the
or at least we try. So the comments would be long, so it'd be ah, and then the patak would be short, so it'd be eh.
Like apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or cat. Yeah.
I think I remember reading that.
Father versus cat.
That's classical pronunciation.
That's from the basics of biblical Hebrew.
I don't know if the basics of biblical Hebrew say it that way or not, but
yeah, they do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Lambden does as well. Lambden.
And that was our textbook in first year, so that's, I guess that's how we've run with it.
Basics of Biblical Hebrew?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
The Basics of Biblical Hebrew was your textbook?
Yes.
Okay. I've never heard patach like pronounced like that. It seems like a violation to me.
Violation or abomination. A bastardization. Whatever Asian.
No, what I learned biblical Hebrew with Seal. With this textbook here, A Grammar for Biblical Hebrew by Seal.
I hate that book.
I love the book. I loved it.
I hate it.
But he also would distinguish between segol as and sere as a.
Yeah, most do. Even with modern pronunciation, every professor I've ever had has made that distinction. So they're not consistently modern with everything.
For sure, in modern pronunciation, if you pronounce like, okay, so he will give is yiten in Hebrew, but it has tzere in the second syllable.
Yatain, you mean yatain.
So I have one friend who is American and Swiss, like he's got dual citizenship, and he says yitain, and everyone laughs at him because
so does this American friend. They'd laugh at me too if I lived there.
You don't live in Israel, it's different.
I what?
I went to an American synagogue one time, and they were in the synagogue. They like to quote Rashi and to quote Maimonides. They quote different rabbis. And I remember the guy was up there and he was giving a sermon, and he says Rashi Omer, and I just wanted to break up laughing because Rashi Omer is like says. Rashi,
yeah.
And I wanted to die from that.
Rashi Omer. Oh, I had a professor that said he was from Georgia. So he said this here vowel's called the comets. And when the Hebrew word for house is bayith, so it's like when a Southerner says I need to take a bayith, I was like, I need to get out of here.
All right, so let's go to the next. The next thing we're going to look at is the Canaanite shift. Basically, it's really simple. It deals with the change of one vowel. If you think of the great vowel shift in English history, not American, in English history, the English history of the English language, we had a vowel shift that shifted the whole spectrum of vowels. And the Canaanite shift, we're looking only at the shift between long A as Proto-Semitic, that shifted to long O in Hebrew and many of the Western Semitic languages. So Aramaic, lucky enough, for whatever reason, did not undergo this shift. And so where we often have long O in Hebrew, we have a long A in Aramaic. Okay, so this shift did not occur in Aramaic. It retains the older vowels, the ah. Thus Hebrew, shalom, which are transliterated there, shalom, corresponds to Aramaic shlam, where shalom, shlam. But then you can see that they're the same root. Okay? Aramaic tends to put nouns in the determined state, that is with the article, more than Hebrew does, more than Hebrew uses the article, because you might think kind of that the determined state or the emphatic state is the normal state for a noun in Aramaic. So you're going to see where you want to translate it as the house, but there's no reason to say the in English. It's just determined in Aramaic more commonly than it is in English or Hebrew. And I wanted to throw this example out from the Jewish prayer book, from the Siddur. Someone want to read that for us? Anybody who wants to? Can you see it? I hope you can see it.
Yekeh Shalama Rabbah Min Shemaya.
Only the first word is in this font. This font is the way that it's handwritten in the Aleppo Codex. That second letter is actually Hey.
Oh, okay.
So it's Yehei. Yehei Shlama Rabbah Min Shmaya. Shmaya, Shlama you can recognize automatically. That's Shlam, Shalom, Shlama. Rabbah, you would know is Rav, right? Rav, great. Min,
Yes.
Shmaya
From.
is
Is
Shemayim,
that the heavens?
the heavens. So may it be great peace from heaven. Okay? Yehi shalom rav min hashamayim. Notice that in Hebrew we would not put hashalom harav. It's not determined, but in Aramaic it's determined.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Is that Yehi or Yehei, and why does it have a sere there?
In Aramaic it's yehi. In Hebrew it's yehi.
But why? I don't know.
No,
Maybe there's no answer. Yeah.
It's funny, the imperfect in Aramaic, where in Hebrew you attach like a yod for the imperfect. In Aramaic, for the word to be, the imperfect is leheve. Leheve with a lamed.
That's strange.
Leheve, he will be. We're going to come into that pretty quickly because it's in the book of Ezra. So I wanted to look at some examples of the Canaanite shift and see if we could guess how these words are going to be pronounced in Aramaic. We've run into them a few times in the examples, and if you read the chapter, you should already know this. But let's go through one at a time. We'll go Catherine, Joanna, Doug, and then Jonathan, that order. Catherine, how would you think that this word's going to be read in Aramaic, taking the Canaanite shift into account? What can you tell us again what the Canaanite shift is? Maybe your camera's frozen. You kind of.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah. Now you're.
Okay, so a nash,
Enough. Yeah.
where the O becomes an A.
Exactly. So that's all the Canaanite shift has to do with, right? In Hebrew, we're going to have O. In Aramaic, we're going to have A. Right? Joanna, do you want to take the next one? Do.
Sure. Would that be da?
Do. Excellent. I think in Aramaic, probably the resh is going to be ra, dar. Maybe we should read it that way. I'm just used to reading dar, do. Doug, what would you do with that one? You already used it earlier.
Tav.
Tab. Okay. What do we got with this one, Jonathan?
La.
La. Also, in Arabic, the word for no or not is la. La. Okay. Olam becomes alam. Okay. Alam. Catherine, back to you. Kol.
Be Kal.
Kal. Kal in Hebrew means easy. And Doug, you keep getting words that we've already run into.
Salam.
Shlam.
Or shlam. Yes.
Shlam.
On the call there, that's where our stems come from. They all come from Aramaic words, right? Yep.
No. In Hebrew, it's from kalal, to be light. Here it's voice. So it's a little different.
Maybe there's Aramaic kal. I don't know. I don't know Aramaic. I'm not a teacher.
It's the pe'al stem in Aramaic, but we are not there yet.
Well, I'm not there for sure. I went through 5 chapters of an introduction to Aramaic. That's all I know. I've read 2 chapters from the book of Ezra in Aramaic.
Well, it's been 12 years since my Aramaic class, so this is good.
Yeah. So how would you render shalosh in Aramaic?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, shalash.
Ooh, you would think so. Remember that sheen and tav?
Oh, it's talash. Yeah.
Tlat.
Yep. Talat.
Both of those sheens are.
Yeah. That just has to be memorized then,
Yeah,
because sometimes they change and sometimes they don't. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
and there's only one more piece that we need to tackle for this chapter. That is this idea of nasalization or lunation. We're going to say in classical Arabic, they have the concept of lunation. In modern Arabic, as far as I know, the modern standard, they've dropped it, except in specific words like ahlan. Ahlan is like hi, and there's no n on the end of it, but they still say it. So they would add n to the end of a word that isn't really written, like this word kalb. Kalb means dog, but the little swirly thing on the end, the swirly like that, it means kalbun. Kalbun, dog, a dog. It drops it when the noun is made definite. So instead of kalbun, it would be al-kalbu. Al-kalbu, the dog. This is related directly into Hebrew and Aramaic because we have the same root, kelev. Kelev, whenever you add his dog, it's kalbo. So kalbun and kalbo, directly related. Aramaic has its own type of nonation, whereby the nasal sound of nun is retained where it is normally dropped in Hebrew. And sometimes it's even inserted where Hebrew doesn't have one. So in the root nafal, he fell, like in Hebrew, he fell. These are Hebrew. He will fall, you would normally say, you would think it would be yin pol, because you add yi and you have the o, the thematic vowel. Instead, that yin pol, the nun assimilates to and it becomes the same sound as the pei, yip pol, and then it assimilates into it completely, and our final form is yipol. Yipol, he will fall. Natan, when you add the T subformative, I, natanti, the nun assimilates, it becomes natati. Natati, I gave. In Aramaic, we're going to see that that nun likes to stay where it is and not drop out. So in the example that we give in the chapter is the word madda in Hebrew, madda, that is manda in Aramaic, and it means knowledge. In modern Hebrew, it means science, which also comes from the idea of knowledge. Manda. Okay. Exercises from chapter 2. This is 2.16, where I just basically copied the words from Aramaic and Hebrew that we've already gone over. What was my point on this? Hold on. The point was in the exercises at the end of the chapter, explain the difference, like why are they different from one another? Okay. So Jonathan, why is Enosh and Enosh different? What's the change?
It's a Canaanite shift again.
Yeah. Doug, what is and Eitz?
Tree and some consonantal variation there.
Can you explain exactly what's going on? Like how does that form from Eitz?
Yes, as I recall, this becomes this, but you can't have this. And I remember something along those lines. And of course, there's not Canaanite shift right there because that's not A and O.
Right. So originally the root letter, just like in Eitz, was the same two variations. It would have ended up as ayin. They didn't like two ayins together, so one of them softened into an aleph, right? So Eitz becomes ah. Okay, fantastic, good. Next, how did you write on the screen? That's lovely.
It's with my iPad. I've got an option. I can do that.
That's brilliant. Joanna, what do we have going on with this one? And what does it mean?
Eretz is land, and so we've got Ara, and it looks like the Tzadeh has just been swapped for the Ein.
Yeah, because that happens a lot. It's the same thing as what happened in the other one up there, where Tzadeh and Ein are together. And
we've got the vowel shift as well.
Excellent. Is there anything else that we might expect to see instead of Ein in this word? Have you looked at that word specifically?
I'm not sure. Would it have an aleph on there?
It could have a kuf.
Oh, okay.
So we have one verse in the Bible where we have al-ka, the land, where we would normally expect al-ah, the land. So we shouldn't be surprised that we see this this interchange. Al-ka and al-ah, they're the same word. Okay. What do we got going on here, Catherine?
Oh, there. Sorry, I lost it on the screen. We've got the sign that becomes a Dalit instead. So we've got a Canaanite shift. No, we've got the consonantal change. I do have a question though. I notice that a lot as well. You get the first letter in the word often there's a vocal shortening from down to a shiva, but that doesn't. I don't think that gets addressed in the chapter.
I think it will as we get into specific grammar.
All right.
Let me see if I can exchange the sharing here. Hold on a second. Let's see, it's my whole screen and put up Microsoft Word. So let's see, we've got Zavach. Okay, so Zavach means, of course, sacrificed, right? Be sacrificed. In Aramaic, we're going to have Dvach, because design in the Dalet. For some reason, that, you know, the root of the verb in the first place is, if you think of the root historically, it's short vowels. All root vowels are short vowels except for the long historic vowels. So what you have basically is the reduction of that first vowel and the retention of the second one. That's basically what we're seeing. In Hebrew, the first vowel will lengthen and the second vowel will stay. In Aramaic, that first vowel is going to reduce in verbs. From what I see, it happens both in verbs and in nouns, especially like we have regel in Hebrew, regel. In Aramaic, we saw last week regal, regal. Segolet nouns, for some reason, tend to reduce the first syllable and lengthen the second. So we had sefer, sorry, that's not sefer. This is sefer, we have sefer. And then in Aramaic, it's sfar. The first syllable is reduced, the second one is just like regal. Okay? If we have sheleg in Hebrew, snow, in Aramaic we have tlag. Tlag. I'm really not sure why that is, but it's just something we need to recognize at this point. Because, like I said, I'm also beginning this journey with you. If we discover a lot of things that I don't know, that's perfectly fine. We're going to run into a lot of things, but my knowledge is in Hebrew. And I find it easy to read Aramaic. I don't really know the grammar or what I'm doing, but I want to know.
That's cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is the next word for you, Jonathan. Or I'll do this one. Lishan becomes Lashon. There is a bit of difference in root here because the sheen here is doubled in the Aramaic, but it's not doubled in Hebrew. Obviously, it's the Canaanite shift between Lishan and Lishon or Lashon. I don't know why the sheen is doubled, but that's cool. Okay, the next one down here is for you, Jonathan. This is
Which one? Manda, and then Mada. Well, okay, so Mada first is the Hebrew version, then Manda because it retains the noon. It does not assimilate.
What is the root of the word?
Yada, right?
It's interesting that the yod is represented here in Aramaic with the nun. Mada, manda. It reminds me of how the lamed in lakach also behaves like a nun, like the first nun. Yikach. Yikach.
Right. Yep.
Interesting to note.
Now this is participle, right?
It's a noun formation from. It's like the creation of a noun from a verbal root.
Right. Is there anything in this though that is the mem prefix? Is it derived from the mean preposition? I was just curious if there was a connection with the nasalization there.
No, there are a lot of nouns that are just created with the mem prefix. Place nouns, especially like Savach is offer sacrifice, and Mizbeach is where you offer sacrifice, an altar. Kadosh is holy, and Mikdash is a holy place. The mem prefix is added a lot for places, but there are other reasons why it would be added too. Like food, ochel, you're eating, and ma'achal is something you eat. It's a dish or a food. It's just a mem prefix. It's a way to create nouns from verbal roots. The next one we have here is yours, Doug. Here, how's that? I don't know a rule for this. We didn't talk about it last week, but it should be explainable.
Yeah, it's this should be the Hebrew here, right? For iron.
Yeah.
And there's something going on here with where this is pronounced at the front of the mouth. But I don't know what it's called unless it's just a consonantal variation or something.
It's a lot of what we see through the distinction between Latin and what we see in the Romance languages. A lot of times, like, well, I can't get, like, I'm thinking of the word fire. Like in Spanish, it's fuego. What is fire in Latin? That's a problem. I can't think right now. I'm thinking in Hebrew, so I can't.
Would this be something similar? The way we bring over Chinese, the B and P.
It might be. It's because they're bilabial consonants. They're both on the front of. They're both on. They use both lips. B and P. One is plosive. It goes out. It blows air out. That's the P, and the B just holds it. P, P, P pushes the air out, but it's the same consonant. Basically, Barzel is a loan word in Hebrew. It's not originally a Hebrew word. So when the Hebrews heard it, they heard it as a B. And so they brought it in as Barzel, but in other languages it might just as well be Barzel, like in Aramaic. I'm trying to think of an example between Spanish and Latin, but I can't get one. Hogar is it's like your home. It's the hearth where you have your fire. Hogar. I think, I want to look up how to say that in Latin. I know that they're connected. Somehow they're connected. I need a Spanish-Latin dictionary, and I don't have one. If you give me just a minute. I should have thought ahead and looked up the story.
I'm not sure if they make those.
Why wouldn't they? I know that there's a connection between an oven in like in Italian and Latin and Spanish. They show that the exchange between F and H. That they, for some reason, they express them in. I don't want to waste the time on it. But between languages, you have these differences, and it's just something we got to get used to. And this one here for Joanna. The bottom, this one.
Oh, Shor and Tor.
Mm-hmm.
So that was bull, I believe, and yeah, that's just the consonantal shift.
So this is a historical.
This is called nasalization, right? This phenomenon, or not?
No, this is just when they heard the consonants from Proto-Semitic, they heard them in different ways represented in different ways.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's a name for this.
But notice
I don't remember.
Show and Paul that is related directly to the Greek word Taurus. It's where we get the word Taurus. And I think we have one more here. Two more. So we only have the two more. I'll go ahead and do Dal and Dol, Canaanite shift. The older vowel, that in Aramaic. Okay. And I would like to have Catherine grab that one, but she's missing at the moment. So, Jonathan, it's the same thing, right? What's Kol and Kal?
Yep, Canaanite shift again. So voice.
Great. While we're here for a second, that's really the end of what I had, because this is the exercise from chapter 2, what we just did. So, Catherine, we just covered these two, Dol and Kol. It's Dar and Kal.
Yep, cool.
No major problem. Come on. I thought maybe I'd run into one of these F and H things real quick, but I don't think I'm going to get one. Doesn't matter. Okay, so really this is all we had to cover for this lesson, because these lessons are they're not chock full of information. They're kind of light. So we were supposed to cover the consonants in the first lesson, the vowels in this one, And then really, I think we've covered everything we need to cover. Do you have any questions? I don't like to say call it quits, but we're kind of done with where we are. It's been only 40 minutes since the initialization of our lesson, so we didn't go very far. Like, I don't think we needed to cover very much.
I wanted to ask about segulate nouns, but it looks like we can probably deal with that next time with the accents, because I was curious if you keep that initial stress all the time or not.
What are you looking?
3.4, I think, will be a good opportunity to talk about it next time. But, I was looking at how
we ran into Evan last week as well. It seems to behave differently from the majority of segulate nouns that we see in Hebrew.
I can't read which number that is, Catherine.
It's 4.5.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
They get called out specifically there, but I don't know if that answers what question you have.
Yeah, I have actually already read that, but it's been a few months. So thank you.
Excellent. Look at that. We also, I don't see in the list the word ta'am. Ta'am is a segulate noun where the ayin influences the pronunciation. It's a'a, like wa'al. But it behaves like be'el. Be'el is Lord or Master, and te'em. Te'em is a decree in Aramaic. One thing I have to say that I don't like about this book is I don't think it throws you into the text. Like today, I added the little prayer. I added that to the presentation. There's nothing like that in the text. I think it would be to our benefit if we were able to get into the text and to read. So I know exactly. Show me what this is. Show me what you got there, Doug.
Yeah, this is Biblical Aramaic Reader and Handbook. Same guys that put out the BHS reader, which I don't have, but it sounds really good. I've got the Zondervan one. But I've been keeping this on my bedstand and just reading a verse or two of Daniel every night with the reader. And they gloss, or they give you something like for nearly every word. So I don't know.
I ordered a couple of books from Christian book distributors. No, not CBD, from christianbook.com, right? This is right, CBD?
Yep. Yeah.
I ordered 2 books on Aramaic from them, and one of them is something like that. It's a reader. So I'll recommend that to you guys, because I think we're gonna have a hard time getting Aramaic to stick in our heads if we're just learning a bunch of rules in every chapter. We need to be reading text, learning vocabulary while we read. So if I can get that to me from CBD, then I'll let you know how it is, and maybe we could pull some reading in. It's really something that I liked about the other textbook, about this one, the Introduction to Aramaic by Greenspan. This one, from very early on, you're reading, and he really is big on reading the text.
Jason, I found a digital copy of that. Would you like it?
I have a digital copy.
Okay, never mind.
If anybody wants a digital copy,
Actually, Jonathan, if you're able to post that link, if it is a link,
It's on my Google Drive, so I can share it.
that it would be amazeballs.
Amaze balls. Do you watch Archer?
Smoke bomb, can't say.
Anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, Catherine, I know you need to get your kids up. You've got a good long morning ahead of you. I hope everybody is taking care of themselves, and I just want to say I appreciate you guys joining in. I know that Aramaic isn't the most exciting topic in the world, and I don't think that everybody wants to learn it, but I appreciate it.
Hey, Jason, can you create a Facebook group so I can share this?
Yeah, we've been doing it. We've been posting things through my Hebrew Cafe, because it's what I'm using.
Okay, well, I can do that.
All right, sweet.
Well, thanks for hosting us, Jason. Much
pleasure.
appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
I wanted to learn Aramaic.
Jason's a machine.
And Jonathan likes to call me a machine because I make him read Hebrew for 5 hours a day.
It was 6 hours. Thank you very much. But
No substitute for that.
It didn't seem like 6 hours, so that's good.
All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Nice to meet you all.
Bye, everyone.
And you.
Likewise.
Yeah.